Good morning to everybody present here. Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. A quote from Ken Pirate. On behalf of Jeppiaar College of Arts and Science and our Institution Innovation Cell and Entrepreneurship Development Cell, we would like to greet everyone for the angel investment we see funding opportunity for early stage entrepreneurs workshop. I would like to call upon Mr. Alan Brito, second BCom to deliver the welcome address.
A very good morning to one and all present here. I am grateful to welcome you all for the angel investment. VC funding opportunity for early stage entrepreneurs organized by Entrepreneurship Development Cell and Institution Innovation Cell. Firstly, I would like to welcome our Jazz Families Chairperson, Dr. Regina J. Murali, and Director Mr. S. Murali. I would also like to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Velan Silas, practicing chartered accountant who has come to share his knowledge and experience with us. It is my pleasure to greet our beloved principal, Dr. Lavanya L., all our favored heads of all departments, and all our faculty members. I am glad to welcome Dr. Jayaselvi, EDC coordinator and IIC president, and convener Mrs. Parvadavardhini and Mr. Joel Pradeep Kumar, and also our organizing committee and IIC and EDC faculty members, Dr. Monica G, Mrs. Rajeswari K, Ms. Soumya Rani S, Dr. Satyamurthy S, Mrs. Bala Kamachi C, Mrs. Abhirami M, Mr. Murthy. We welcome you all to the grand event.
Thank you, Alan. Now I would like to call our principal, Dr. L. Lavanya, to facilitate the gathering.
Good morning. I take this opportunity to welcome you all and also share a few words about the purpose of the meeting today. Like the chapter director, dear HODs, and conveners of this program. Respected chief guest, welcome, sir. Welcome to our college. Virtually welcoming you for this program. There's some background noise. Can you please cut that down? So, Mr. Velan Silas, welcome you, sir. So, the meeting today is about angel investment and VC funding opportunity for early stage entrepreneurs. Probably most of you here, after your graduation or during this process of 3 years, you have ideas, a lot of brilliant ideas to turn into, business perspective. But then the first question which comes to your mind is, who will fund my project or where will I get my investment? So in earlier sessions, we have seen a lot of investment, people who can invest in your project. But this is one interesting area. It's called an angel investment. And the moment we say angel investment, Rockefeller is something which strikes all our mind. Like so, sir is here to share his expertise about VC funding opportunities, venture capitalist options, and what is angel investment and how it you can benefit out of it. So I take this opportunity to welcome sir again once again, and I request the students to take note of the information shared in the session and preserve it so that you can use it when at the appropriate time when it is. I congratulate all the EDCL members and IIC members, conveners and IIC president for taking this initiative to make such topics reach to our students. We always go an extra mile to ensure that our students stay ahead and bringing in the right guests. It is all because of the conveners, and thank you, sir, for accepting the invitation. With these few words, I want to leave the forum open for the expert advice. Thank you all.
Hello.
Now I would like to call Miss J. Swati, second A&F, to introduce the chief guest.
I would like to welcome our chief guest, Mr. Velan Silas, a practicing chartered accountant based in Anna Nagar, Chennai. He is director of MSCV Chartered Accountants, as well as the managing director of MS Faith B2B Solutions. With over 2 decades of rich experience as a financial and tax consultant in both domestic and multinational companies, Mr. Silas holds a certification in International Financial Reporting Standard from the Canadian Institute of Chartered Accountants. He is a certified trainee for government urban local bodies responsible for implementing accounting reforms and a consultant on World Bank financial project by ICAI. His extensive area of practice encompass audits, direct and indirect tax planning, management consultancy on corporate governance, valuation, non-resident and international taxation. Furthermore, he has presented research papers and participated as an expert panel member in discussion on the union budget at Premier Business School. Mr. Silas' distinguished career and extensive contribution make him a highly regarded figure in the financial and taxation sector. Please join me in welcoming him today. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Let me share the PPT. Is the PPT available and my voice is heardable?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, thank you. Okay, good morning, good morning. Very good morning to all. Respected director, chairperson, principal, the management, staff, and dear students of Jeppiaar College of Arts and Science. Very good morning to one and all. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity. VC funding opportunities for early stage entrepreneurs, for the young minds of Jeppiaar Arts and Science students. It is a wonderful topic and it is a need of the hour that India is shaping the young minds. The future of India is in the hands of the young minds, the students like you. Always our Prime Minister says the future of India is in the hands of the young minds. That's why always we encourage, Indian government is encouraging the young students to become an entrepreneurs in the various fields. So I thank you once again. Let us quickly start the discussion on this very important subject.
Sir, you're muted, sir. கண்ணாடி அது
Now, can you hear me, madam? Hello, am I audible,
Yes,
please? Very good. Is the PPT is visible now? Hello?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
PPT is not visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It is not visible.
Just a minute. Hello, madam, can you please share the sharing facility for me? It says only the meeting organizers and presenters can share, it says. Can you please give me the sharing privilege? Hello, students. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Obviously.
I have no sharing privilege. Can you please ask the organizers to give me the sharing privilege?
Okay, sir.
It says only meeting organizers and presenters can share. If you can make me as a co-presenter, I can share my PPT and we can start the presentation. Okay. Good morning once again.
Sir, can you send your PPT to Abhirami ma'am? She will be
Yes,
shared.
I have sent already.
Oh, I'll check, sir. Thank you.
Is the PPT available now? Shall we start? Okay. Very good morning. Please let me know if you're not able to hear or your PPT anytime. Please, if you're not able to see the PPT, let me welcome once again. Can you please move to the next slide?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. So here are we are discussing. Let me welcome once again the director, chairperson, principal, management staff, and dear students of JPR College of Arts and Science. And it's my privilege to be with you all this morning to share my knowledge on angel investments, VC funding opportunity for early stage entrepreneurs. Of course, this is a very need of the heart to present the young minds like you and who are going to be the pillars of India nation in the days to come. As a Prime Minister of India said that I see the startups, technology, and innovation as exciting and effective instruments for India's transformation. We know that globalization has transformed India to a large extent that we do a global trading today. And Digital India transformed India, also boost up the startup India in a significant manner in the recent past. The startups journey is actually, if you see, from 57 startups recognized, and today, as of today in 2023, we see 98,119 startups are registered and recognized in India. The major contributing sectors of startups in India, if you see, more than 10,000 plus startups have been incorporated in the IT services, that is information technology services, and 8,000 plus startups have been incorporated, started, and they are operating in the healthcare and life. Than 100 startups are like airport operations, animation, and the data and matrimonial sites. If you see the geographical presence of startups in India, it's interesting factor to notice over here. More than 50% of the startups are located in just 5 states of India. If you see in Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Gujarat, Maharashtra, and Karnataka, the majority of the startups are located in these 5 states. Of course, these states boost a lot of entrepreneurs, and we know that IIT in Gujarat, we see government in the recent past for has set up in information city. So there is attracting a lot of startups and they're giving a lot of incentives in Gujarat, Ahmedabad. And apart from this, of course, many other states, like almost 80% of the districts in India, they have the startups. Now they have recognized and they are operating in India. Having this quick overview, let us move on to the next slide. Our fintech startups emerged. Yeah, please, next slide. Our Narendra Modi has stated again, there is an explosion of fintech innovation and enterprise in India. So there is actually fintech 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, and 4. There are 4 versions have been evolved in the fintech arena. It has turned India into a leading fintech and a startup nation in the world. The future of fintech and industry 4.0 is emerging in India. Although fintech 4.0, that is financial technology, is globally is adopted and they are running in the fintech platform 4.0. India is embracing the technology of fintech 4.0 in India also. So knowing the significance of fintech, the actually startup industry, government of India has established an interministerial steering committee on fintech. Recently, they have established a committee. So look forward and then looking the activities and monitoring the activities, encouraging the startups on in the fintech area. They have established the interministerial committee for the fintech. So this is operating under the Department of Economic Affairs, that is the Ministry of Finance, overseen by the Ministry of Finance. Department of Economic Affairs oversee this interministerial steering committee, and this is constituted in the year of 2018 and reported their first report in 2019. What is the duty? They will actually to provide one-stop solution and addresses for the startup grievances, whatever the grievances and the problems they are facing in order to incorporate, getting the fundings, and all these issues they will address. They will try to resolve all the problems for the startup as early as possible. And not only that, they also have the working groups along with some other developed countries who have established fintech in an advanced manner, like United Kingdom, Singapore, and other nations. We have working groups that are operating today, and this is the reason why we are able to tap the technology they are adopting in the developed countries, and they are trying to implement even in India also by having the network, by having the collateral cooperation between the developed countries like UK and Singapore, even in the USA. So this is the initiatives of the government of India on fintech and the startups that we see today. Move to the next slide, please. Now we'll see what are the key pillars of startup. There are 3 pillars of startup support. If you see, the government of India has established now. First pillar is the simplification and handholding. All the process of, if you see from the incorporation, if you want to start up a company like a proprietorship or partnership or private limited company or public limited company, in order to have the incorporation and also to get the funding, to get the approvals from various sectors, you need a lot of timing. It is consuming so much of time. This is one of the headache India used to face before. So that is why government of India actually they wanted to simplify the procedures, simplify the process of incorporating, getting the funding, and bringing the business into operating level at the earliest as possible. Before and all, it used to take minimum 3 months to 6 months of time to get all the approvals from incorporation, from getting the fund to bring to commencement of business from the ROC, getting the approvals and filing the INC form 20A in order to commence the business. For all these processes, in order to actually file even register of companies, they give 180 days, 160 days, 180 days they give in order to file INC form 20A in order to commence the business. So this much long time they used to take before. But nowadays, by implementing this support system for the startups, government has simplified for all this process. Now, as early as 15 days, within a matter of 10 to 15 days, you will be able to establish a startup company and you should be able to kickstart the operations. This is one of the fundamental advantage, the key pillars of the startup support that is established by Indian government, and also funding and incentives. So, as we know, most of the startups they may not have the funding to fund their ideas, to implement their business and then roll out their products and bring their products into the market or services. So funding, the money is the backbone for every organization. So where will they go for money? So in order to tap this difficulty for the startup and the entrepreneurs, government has established a lot of funding incentives, a lot of funding. There is a lot of funds in order to support these entrepreneurs to start the business without having any complication. We will see what are the fundings available, how to tap the fundings, where can we go for the fundings, and all these things we will see in the subsequent slides. And now moving on to the third pillar, if you see the incubation and industry academia partnership, this is the third pillar of the startup support in India. It is actually creation of numerous incubators. The incubators can be like established by the government or even the private sector. Private players also can get recognized as an incubator. So if they are recognized incubators, the funding can be distributed to the entrepreneurs, to the incubating centers, incubators. They can go approach for the funding. They can get an ideas. They can get support systems. They can get all the required support in order to establish this startup system. And not only that, they have innovation labs and events. They conduct often the startup events. They encourage the young entrepreneurs. They give awards. They choose the best articles, the best ideas they used to promote, and all these things is been happening in the incubation centers. And they also grants the competition and grants. They will give the grants to the startup systems. So these are the key pillars for the startup support. Let us move on to the next slide. Now we will see what are the basic terms with regard to the fundings and the startups, angel funding, and then we will see the VCs, venture capitalists. What is angel investor? Who are the angel investors? If you see an angel investor, an individual, angel investor must be an individual with net turnover, net tangible asset. An angel investor, we should have net tangible asset more than 2 crores. He should have more than 2 crores of net tangible assets. Then only he can be eligible for the becoming angel investor. And he should have at least 10 years of experience as a senior professional in any industry or practice. He should have been held as a senior professional minimum of 10 years, one decade of experience he should possess in order to fund the entrepreneurs, fund the startup companies. And if he is a body corporate, he should have more than 10 crores of net worth. He should have alternative investments fund or venture capital registered with the SEBI, Stock Exchange Board of India. They should have been registered with the SEBI in case if they are a body corporate. And today, as of today, if you see angel investors, the investments has been more than 26,000 crore of rupees has been invested in through the angel investors. So angel investors not only fund the business, not only they will grant the financial assistance, but also they will take part in the management. They will give their ideas. They will shape your ideas. They will take your ideas to the next level altogether. So they will not only actually they will fund, but also they have the you are looking for. They will be having possessing the knowledge in the industry that you are into. So in order to select the best angel investor, you need to be very careful in selecting the angel investor. So the angel investor is actually they will play a major role either to success or the failure of your the success or failure of your any um, startups is basically is because of the angel investor. So you should be very careful to choose the angel investor, right angel investor. You should not just see the financial side aspect alone, But you have to decide what is their professional experience. You should see what is their the experience they have, what is their success stories behind, how many startups they have been successfully handled in the past, and all these things should be very carefully handled. The angel investors, they are the one initially they will contribute to the entrepreneurs. After the angel investors, we see the venture capitalists. The venture capitalists, they will start their funding after the angel investors when their requirement is becoming bigger. So if we need more than like 10 crores or 50 crores of rupees to expand your business after the running your business for about 2 to 3 years or 5 years of your success story by getting your angel investors, now a venture capitalist will come with the larger funding. And today, as of today, we see more than 3,500 venture capitalist fundings are available. So venture capitalists or tier one and tier two venture capitalists are available. So venture capitalists can bring shareholding by sharing their equity and reserves. And today, a lot of venture capitalists like Sequoia Capital, Axel, Intel Capital, these are the prominent venture capitalists who are available in the market to fund your business. And what is pitch deck? Pitch deck is a document that you have to prepare in order to get your funding, either from the angel investor or from your venture capitalist. You have to prepare a pitch deck. Pitch deck is about a small presentation about your business. It is a detailed presentation about the startup, outlining all the important aspects, showcasing your good story. So actually, the pitch deck should be give your USP. What is that USP? That is a unique selling policy. So what is your uniqueness? What is your uniqueness? What is your differentiation between other products and services that you are providing to the customers and the nation at large? So that is the one is playing a key role for the success of your entrepreneurs, for the success of your startup. So pitch deck should be drafted well, and it should be clearly written to speak to the investors rightly. And term sheet, after the pitch deck, actually term sheet is prepared. The term sheet is actually a non-binding list of propositions by venture capitalists at early stage. It summarizes major points of engagement. It contains valuation, investment structure, management structure, and changes in the share capital. So actually what this term sheet is talking about, what are the terms and conditions that we are agreeing upon? So shall we proceed with these terms and conditions, agreements? Is it okay for you or not? So how much funding that you are going to bring? So before that, the valuation will start. It contains the valuation. So valuation of your business. So either it may be an early stage, maybe you have brought the product into a shape. So what is the valuation of your product? What is the valuation of your service? What is the valuation of your business? So what are the methods of valuation has been adopted in order to value your business? So these are all the terms and conditions, and all the criteria are mentioned in this term sheet. And then investment structure, whether they are going to invest into like equity or debt, whether they are going to become owners or they are going to be debt providers, what are the ways in which they are going to provide the investment. So these are all will be mentioned in the term sheet. And management structure, what is the management structure, and who is the managing director, who are the directors in charge, who are the key managing personnel, who are the working directors, who are the non-working directors, who are the independent directors, what are the roles and responsibilities. All these things will be listed detailed in the term sheet. So based on the term sheet only, venture capitalists or angel investors, they will provide the funding for you. And what is crowdfunding? This is one of the recent method in which people are raising the funds. Crowdfunding is actually raising money from the large number of people who each contribute a relatively small amount. Like types of crowdfunding today is equity-based crowdfunding is available, debt-based crowdfunding is available, and reward and donation-based crowdfunding is also available. As we all know today, we see needs, people are raising for their medical expenses. If you see a lot of social media, we see a lot of donation appeals are being raised today. All this is actually based on the crowdfunding. So if we suppose they will roll out a crowdfunding campaign, if they were expecting 1 crore people to contribute 1 rupee each, at least 10 rupees each, if they contribute 10 rupees each, it will become 10 crores rupees. So this is the idea behind the crowdfunding. So this after successfully they have implemented in the medical field for the donation, now they have implemented even in the equity and the debt for this raising funds for the entrepreneurs also. So now we will see what is the why we need startups. Why startups? The startups is actually a new age business. Also, we see that in the olden days, the business in a very olden days style, they have no facilities. Today, if you see all the implementation of the globalization, technology, infrastructure, information technology, and using all these things, the new age business is possible with the startups today. And it is important for the nation's economic growth. If you see the contribution of the GDP for the early startups and this fintech companies is significantly growing in the past. If you actually see during the pandemic time, the COVID pandemic time, almost most of the sectors, the business sectors, have seen the downfall. But only these fintechs and startups and fintech companies are growing significantly during the pandemic time also. So this is the importance for the actually the future of the economic growth for the startups and these fintech companies. This is actually increase in the employment opportunities because of these startups and the fintech companies. They have seen the lot of employment opportunities. As of today, more than 8 lakhs jobs in 2022 alone. More than 3 lakhs jobs has been created. More than 3 lakhs jobs has been recruited by these fintech and the startup companies. So if you see the large employment opportunities are available in the startups today. Young talent is being uh, motivated, and they give a lot of significance. They encourage a lot of young talent, young minds. Mostly, if you see all the startups by IITians and a lot of young minds who are studying in this, like even today, if you see most of the remote villages, remote colleges and the universities, a lot of young minds are coming up with the talents. Why not from your college? Maybe a few of you also can become entrepreneurs. That is the reason why we are conducting these seminars. The young talents are being encouraged because of the startups, and it's a traditional business versus startups. If you see the traditional businesses, they used to have a lot of logistics, and they used to do a lot of like they used to take a lot of time in order to, like, if you want to tap the funds from abroad, it takes a lot of time. Today, it's all happening in a matter of time. Startups actually, after implementation of all this information technology, if you see today, artificial intelligence, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, data mining, and all these tools actually as incorporated helps a lot in the startup companies. So technology is actually one of the important significant for the startups. So using the startups with the technology, definitely success will be a guarantee for any startup. So actually, not only that, but also incubators, state and central level government schemes are actually distributed to the many startup companies through the incubators. So incubators are the one recognized like a dealers. They are like a dealers, or they are like an agent to get the funding from a government and also distribute to the startup companies. So this is the reason why we see these startups in India. Shall we move to the next slide? Next slide, please. Yeah. Startup journey. How our startup journey is started. Product viability. So first of all, what is the journey from where it starts and how it ends? If you see the product viability, we have to see market research in order to do the product viability, whether the product that I am product or service, is it a viable product, whether it will last in the market, whether it will it will have the competition, it will have the edge over the competitors product. You should have the product viability. You should do the market research. You should see the market, whether the available market is available or not for your product, and who are the potential users of your product. You should have the interviews. You should have the basic the data You should have the market primary data. It is not your secondary data. You should have the primary data directly one-to-one person you have to interview and get the data about the product viability. Once you analyze the product viability, then you can move forward. After your product viability is tested and proved that yes, my product or service can withstand in the market for at least 5 years or 10 years, I will be able to get success in the market, then you can proceed with the business plan. So what to do in the business plan? In the business plan, actually, when to raise funds. So you will have the plan of raising funds. At what time you should raise funds? Many people, as soon as they have the plan, immediately they will go for raising funds. They will get the money, but the money's requirement will not be arise at that point of time. So the best plan of doing the business is you will identify what time, when should I require the funds, exact time in which I need to raise the funds, and not only that, how much fund I should raise. Suppose if your funding agency is requiring 1 crore, you should not go and get funds for 2 crores or 5 crores. You should not raise unwanted excess funds. If you raise unwanted excess funds, because no funding is comes free of cost, because every fund you have a lot of like costs that you have to pay. You have to pay the dividends. You have to pay the interest for that. So you should be very careful how much fund you should raise for your business or plan. So you should have the budgeting. So you should have what is the budget? What is the budget? What is the requirement fund that I need to raise for my business plan? So, and what value should I raise? What is the value in which you have to raise the funds? So, what is the competitor giving the dividend to the equity that they are raising? What is my competitor is giving? What is the industry average rate of debentures interest? How much interest they are giving for the debentures in the market? You have to check all these things. So you need to know what is the value in which that I have to raise my funding is very important plan aspect in the business plan. So once your business plan is ready, then you have to choose the founders. The founders are very important, significant people to play in any startup journey. The founders actually, you have to select the co-founder. Some people have the founders and some people have the co-founders. They may have 1 or 2 people join together and they will like innovate a new product or service. Like you will see success stories in the end of this slide also, end of the presentation. So you have to be very careful in choosing the founder, and you have to see the capital structure also. So once you choose the founders, you have to choose the capital structure. What is my capital structure, and whether I'm going to raise capital in the form of equity, or I'm going to raise the capital in the form of debt, or I'm going to get incentive or government's the grants. Am I eligible to get any government grants? So what is your capital structure that you are going to raise? So what is the rate of interest? What is the rate of dividend that you are going to pay? So in all these things you have to finalize in the founders. And also founders agreement. The agreement and the founders agreement, you have to engage with the founders agreement. Terms and conditions of your agreement you have to sign by each of the participating agents in the founders agreement. And all these things actually you have to be very carefully drawn the founders agreement. So this is the journey that you have to start. You have to start from your product viability, then you will move forward to the business plan. So once you have the business plan, you have to choose your founders, and then capital structure and founders agreement, and all these things you have to maintain documentation very clearly and legibly. This documentation, all this process is very key for you to get the funding for your startup businesses. Next slide, please. Shall we go to the next slide? Legality, and then finally, okay, you have to see the legal aspects of your business also in the previous slide. So what are the legal aspects that you have to comply? Maybe environmental rules. Maybe you have to see, you have to get the NOC, no objection certificate from the government, no objection certificate from the your environmental clearance. You have to get the clearance certificate from the groundwater. You have to get the certification from the electricity board. So many legal aspects will be there. So all these legal aspects are to comply with regard to the startup journey. That was the last point in the previous slide. So now we will move on to the equipment, like requirement for the funding. So what are the requirements? So what all the funding requirement will be there for the startup? For what I should raise the funds? So if I raise the fund, for what all the things that I can use my funding? In order to create your prototype, you need the funding. So basically, this prototype creation, you will have the funding. a small requirement of funding. You have to create prototype of your product and how it will start, from when you are going to roll out the product. And it is like a simulation, thinking of your real-time product. You have to bring it to the prototype creation. You have to create your prototype. In order to do that, you need a funding, and also you need a funding for your product development. If you want to develop a product, then you will need a product. You will be needing a fund for hiring your team. So whether you are going to hire a team, whether you are going to employ them as a permanent employees, or you are going to take them as a consultant, or you can going to take as a contractors. So whatever form in which you are going to take the personnel, management personnel, you have to have the funding for paying the salary for these people. So this is the one of the requirement of funding, and also you need to have the working capital, not only your fixed assets like one-time investments for land, building, equipments, and all those things. But also you need to have the working capital, like paying salary, paying rental expenses, and then your operating expenses for day-to-day operations of your. Then you need to have the raw material equipments. In order to buy the raw material, you need to have the capital funding, and then licenses and certifications. In order to get the license and certification, you need to have the money for all those things, and then marketing and sales, and finally office space and administration expenses. You need to. And very often is somebody muting my mic. In case if anybody is using muting. Yeah, please move to the next slide, please. Please move to the next slide. Yeah. Now we'll see what are the types of your funding. What are the types? What is the funding requirements that you will have? As we have discussed, the working capital. You will have the working capital. You have the equity financing. You have the grants, and you have the debt financing. So, what are the difference between the fundings that you have to raise? So, you will have the what are the options before you to raise the funding? You will have equity. You have the debt, and also you have the grants. So if you see the equity funding, generally they will come as an investor. They will come as they will come as a owners in the business that you are going to do. So equity funding is actually they will journey with you. They will come along with you for a long time. They may even come along with you even to the end of your journey of your business. So this is the equity. They will expect the dividend from you. So generally equity financing, they will expect more return. That is the higher return for in the form of dividend. So generally today it will range between even from 30 to 50% of your return of investments they will expect from their investment, that is equity financing. So like unlike your debt financing, they have a fixed percentage of return every month on month that you have to pay the debenture holders. You have to pay the interest to the debenture holder. So if you see the equity financing, equity, the payment of dividend, actually, they may not receive at the early stage. They may not have the profits to pay the dividend at the early stage. But whether you have the profit or not, you have to pay the dividend to the debenture holders. Dividend interest, rate of interest, you have to pay the debenture holders month on month, whether you are receiving, whether you are gaining profit or not. So there is a fixed interest that you have to pay every month. So that will be a fixed commitment that you will have. So that is the reason why most of the startups, they will go for the equity financing in the beginning because they may not have the sufficient surplus or profits to pay the dividend at the initial stage. So that is why they will go for the equity financing in the initial stage because they will not be able to pay the interest every month whether they have the funding or not. And not only that, if you see that debenture interest is actually deductible in the profit and loss account. Interest paid to the debenture holders, you can deduct from the profit and loss account. You can charge against your profit, whereas your equity financing, that is the equity dividend that you pay. The dividend that you pay, you cannot claim against your profit and loss account. You cannot charge to your profit and loss account. That is actually appropriation of your income. Appropriation of your income is called equity dividend that you pay, but the interest that you pay to the debenture holders is a charge against your profits. So that means what? So if you pay interest, your net profit will reduce. If you pay dividend, there will be no change to your net profit. So this is the major difference between equity financing and debt financing. So you should be very careful in order to choose equity or debt financing. On the other hand, if you see the grants, government grants, most of the startups today, government is providing the grants today from starting from 10 percentage to 30 percentage, from 30 even 50 percentage. Government is providing the grants for your business. It depends upon the sector in which it is a prominent, the primary requirement of activity or service that you're providing. Suppose like in agriculture, or suppose maybe healthcare, government is providing a lot of grants to the startup companies. So you can tap those grants from the government. In order to get the government grants, you need to have to comply a lot of conditions and terms, and you need to have to fulfill certain criteria. So once you fulfill the criteria, you'll be able to get the government grants for the startup business. If you see the risk factor, of course, equity financing, you will have a little more risk because you have to share the profit. Not only that, they will also involve in your business. Day-to-day business, they will be involving equity financing people like equity share capital, preferential share capital. They will come and play in your business day-to-day operations. They will have their voice. They can participate in your day-to-day operations. They can vote. They can choose the directors. They can vote for choosing the taking the important decisions for your business. So risk is higher with regard to the equity financing. But in the debt financing, they will not at all interfere in your business. Whether whatever that you do, they are only bothered about their interest. If you are paying their interest regularly, periodically, without any default, there is no problem for the debt financiers. So risk-wise, actually, the debt is lesser risk, and you have the return on investors. Actually, if you see the equity capital financing, capital growth for the investors, if you see, and if you see for the grants, you have no returns because there is no need to repay to the government of India. And what are the sources for the equity financing? You can have the angel investors, as we have discussed, and you can go for the self-financing. Maybe you can tap from your family and friends, and also you can go for the venture capitalist for the equity financing. Also, crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is one of the avenue that you can raise funding from your equity financing, or also incubators. From incubators and accelerators of funding for the equity business also is possible with regard to the equity financing. With regard to the debt financing, where you will go to the bankings, formal bankings and non-banking financial institutions, that is NBFC. Today, prominently they call most of the NBFCs, they have regulated today. Unlike in the like 10 years before, NBFC sector has not been regulated, but today a lot of regulations and a lot of prominence, a lot of significance government is giving to the NBFCs. They are bringing NBFCs also at par with the normal scheduled commercial banks today. Government loans and schemes also are available for the providing the loans, that is tapping the debt financing. And the grants, where will you get the grants? From the central government, state governments, corporate challenges. Of course, grant programs of the private equities also, private entities also are providing the grants today. So you can tap your funding for various types of this funding, like equity financing, debt financing, and grants from the various sources, as we have discussed. Shall we move to the next slide? Next slide, please. Yeah. So stages of startup. If you see what are the stages of startup, there are actually 5 stages of startup. If you see, ideation stage. This is the first stage. Ideation stage means idea. The first idea that you will get from your mind. That is where you will start your startup business. So this ideation stage, what will be happen? So what are the contents? What are the main criteria in this ideation stage is actually what you will be doing. Bootstrapping. Bootstrapping is your self-financing. bootstrapping, maybe you will have the investment for a longer time. Maybe small amount you have been saving over a period of time, 5 years or 10 years time. You may be having a small saving, so you can use that small funding for your ideation stage of your startup business. And self-financing, maybe you can ask for your friends and family, and also you can participate in the pitching events. And government today, a lot of startup companies, government is organizing pitching events to like encourage your ideas to roll up a new product or services. Lot of pitching events that is today like an exhibition. They are organizing in various cities, like all the capital cities. In Mumbai, very often it is happening, and also Bangalore. If you see, a lot of pitching events are happening almost every month. You can participate in the pitching events to identify the viability of your ideation, and also you can find a lot of funding agencies, funding people like angel investors and venture capitalists. Also, you will find in those pitching events. If you participate in the pitching events, you will find a lot of encouraging stories and success stories behind your startup business. Once you have an ideation stage, you will move forward to the validation stage. Once you go to the validation stage, you can approach the incubators. That is a formal. Once your business has become formalized, once you give the shape to your idea or your business or a product, you can approach the incubators. At the ideation stage, you cannot go to the incubator. So as I told you, incubators are the people or the persons who are providing financing and also ideas and lot of like assistance for you to establish your startup business. So you can approach incubators once your business or product can become an validation stage. And then you can approach government loans and schemes. A lot of loans of the government of India, like central government, state governments, they have rolled out for ideation stage, validation stage. You can approach government also. Also, you can approach angel investor for your validation stage, and also your crowdfunding. So angel investors, crowdfunding, government loans, and incubators. These are all the available sources for you to tap the funding at the time of validation. And early traction. So early traction is means that is your commercial operations are started. Once your commercial operations are commenced, you can like call it as your early traction. That is your revenue from your sales. Start up your business. That is at least 1 or 2 years. You have started your commercial activities. You can approach the venture capitalist. You can approach the venture capitalists. You can approach the banks, and you can approach the non-banking financial companies, and then you can even approach the venture debts. So a lot of venture debts. This is one of the new concept that we have. The venture debts also is available for the early traction stage. So after the early traction, you have the scaling. Scaling is actually the higher level. So now you have established in the market, you have found the market, you have found the customers, you have established your business or practice in a significant manner. Your sales started booming, your income has started booming. So you have get a lot of network, a lot of share in the marketing. So this is the stage is called a scaling stage of your business, startup business. So once your scaling startup businesses come to the scaling stage, you can tap the venture capitalist funding. Private equity is one of the biggest avenue that is available for large funding, like 1 billion. Also, you can 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion dollars. Maybe in India or abroad also you can tap through the private equity people. And investment firms. A lot of investment firms are available, so you can also approach the investment firms for your business needs at the time of scaling. At last, so last stage of your startup business is exit options. So exit option is actually one of the important criteria. Even though it is the last option, actually you have to think about this in the beginning itself. Exit option. So what are the exit options for me? Like an angel investor or a venture capitalist, a person who is coming and like contributing in your share capital. So they will be thinking, what is my exit option? How long should I keep my investment in this startup business? So how much interest or how much share capital, how much dividend that I'll be going to earning? So how many years that I'm going to continue my journey with this business startup? So and at what point of stage that I'm going to realize or mature or get back my money that I have invested into this startup business? So these are all the questions any investor will have in their mind. So you have to be able to provide a clear cut idea, a clear cut exit options for your business. Maybe after say a period of 10 years or 15 years, my business will become mature. So I will be exiting my options. So I will go for mergers and acquisition. I will go for M&A. So you can go for M&A. You can take over some other business, or you can merge with some other business, or you can even go for the IPO, initial public offer. You can go for the listing in your share market, like Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange. You can list, maybe even you can list in the abroad, like America, and you can even list your shares on the overseas market also. So you can go for IPO, initial public offer. So once your business has grown to so much level, so your valuation of shares, suppose your share value at the time of incorporating your business may be rupees 10. So at the time of you go for IPO, your share value becomes 1,000 rupees. From 10 rupees to 1,000 rupees, your share has been increased. So that means share value has increased so many times. So that is the point where you have to go for the IPO. So initial public offer you will go. So in order to go for initial public offer, you have to fulfill a lot of criteria. So you should have minimum net worth. You should have the profit to minimum of 5 crores. So these are all the conditions that you'll be having. So you have to fulfill all those conditions in order to go for IPOs. You can do the share selling. You can do the sale of your shares to the outsiders, and then you can also do the buyback of your shares. So you can buy back the shares from the investors, and you can give the exit options to your investors. So these are all the actually stages of startups, from ideation to validation, early traction, scaling, and exit options. These are all the funding avenues available. So the success of your any business, actually, you have to think about your future. You have to think about your, maybe you should be a visionary. You should not be a person who is looking today and tomorrow. You should have a visionary of thinking your business for after 5 years, after 10 years, after 20 years. How will be my business will be growing? Where am I going to establish in the market? These are all the things that very clearly you have to write in the beginning itself. So then only your startup business will become a success.
Sir, we couldn't hear your voice.
Now, how to choose your right investor? In order to choose the right investor, you have to initiate so many criteria you have to follow. First of all, you have to understand the various funding choices. What are all the funding choices are available to you? An angel investor may not be interested in your business with regard to your hospital industry. Some of the angel investors, they'll be interested in investing in the technology based startups only. So you have to find out the right person, the funding choices with regard to the angel investors and the venture capital funding. And also you should know where to look for your angel your investments. As I told you, initial stage, at the time of my rolling of my idea, at my ideation stage or my validation stage, you cannot go to the bank and you can ask for the financing. If you go to the bank, they will not give you money. So you should know at what stage where to go for funding. Initial stage, you can go for angel investor, and then once you establish, you can go for venture capitalist. You can apply for the commercial banks. You can go for the NBFCs. So you should understand where you will look into the funding that you require for your business. And also, once you find out, then you have to make an investor shortlist. Who are all the investors that are available for me? So what are all their conditions? What are all their prerequisites? What are all their demands? How much interest, how much dividend they are expecting? With all these things, you have to prepare a short list. You have to prepare a kind of a term sheet in order to choose the right investor for you. And then you have to look for the networks. Sometimes, if your business is in a large scale, you will not be able to achieve the bigger roles by an independent person. So you need to have the network of people. You need to have the network of entrepreneurs, maybe similar, like-minded people. A person who having a similar idea like you, a person who is having operating in a similar field or service or industry. Maybe you can have the network with them. You can share the resources with them. So you have to find your network of people, maybe friends or people in the market. When you participate in the pitch deck, that they trade, that is trade fairs, you can participate in the trade fairs and you can find a network of people. You get along with them and take your business to the next level. And then perfect your pitch. That is your pitch deck, as I told you. You have to prepare your pitch deck in a manner that you will be able to get the funding. So get the funding is very, very easy. So it is not at all difficult to get the funding. To get the funding is actually, it's an art. You have to prepare a document in such a way that, because If you go and approach for any funding to the bank, no person will see in person and they will provide. Your documentation only will speak to the concerned people who are sanctioning your funding. So, in order to get the funding, your pitch deck and the documents, your project report, and your budgeting, your estimations, and your income revenue, and your cash flow statements, and what is your net worth after 5 years, and what is my PI, and what is my NPV, and all these things have to prepare in such a way that your investor will get attracted and he will invest into your business idea at the right time, at the right point of time. And not only that, as I told you, you should also look for your investors' industry expertise. What is their experience they have in the industry? It is not only important that you just get the funding and you can keep him away, but a lot of investors, like angel investors, they would like to take part in the business. They will take your business to the next level, the higher level, because of their experience, industry experience. Maybe you may have the business idea, but a person AI, they may have experience with your data sciences, they may have experience with blockchain. So you have to look for those kind of people in order to have the cutting edge, and you are to in order to have your uniqueness of your product or service that you are going to offer to the market. So that is why their investors industry experience is very, very important. And also you have to look for investors functional expertise and whether they have worked, whether they have a successful story behind, how many products or how many venture capitalists they have brought into success, what is their net worth, and whether they are Indian national or whether they are foreign national, and whether they are reliable people, whether their income tax returns and all filed, whether what is their net worth is been certified by a chartered accountant, and all these things you have to check with regard to the investors expertise and also investors credibility and viability of an investor. And you have to track the investors history and record, as I told you. And finally, you have to look for the investors financial records. Maybe you can check their income tax returns, and maybe you can check their wealth tax returns. Maybe you can check for their GST returns if they are a person of paying GST, and you can check their GST returns they have filed for a minimum of 3 to 5 years, and you can check their bank statements. These are all the statements and the records that you have to check for viability or a person's credibility of investment, angel funding. So these are all the steps in which that you have to choose the right investor at the right time. Shall we move to the next slide? Now, this is the actually startup in India. You see, the seed funding will be disbursed to eligible startups through eligible incubators across India. As I told, the seed funding, this is by the government of India. First of all, in order to get the seed funding for the startups, what you have to do, you have to get recognized, you have to get registered by the DPIIT. So what is this DPIIT? This is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. So you have to get registered, you have to apply for your recognition as a startup registered entity through the DPIIT. This is the ministry separately run by the central government. So you have to apply for your registration recognition under DPIIT. So once you apply, they will give you a certificate. They will recognize you. They will your name of the business and the unique registration number and what is the area that you are going to do your business, and all these things will be mentioned in the certificate. So I will share you the in this subsequent slide. I will give you an example of your DPIIT recognition certificate. So once you get the DPIIT recognition that is registered, then you will go for the EAC, that is Export Advisory Committee. Once your business is registered with the DPIIT, your funding requirement will go to the EAC, that is Export Advisory Committee. So this Export Advisory Committee actually it is comprising of government and representatives and industry experts. So both from government as well as from the industry experts, they will have the committee members for this EAC. So EAC will analyze your application for the funding. EAC will analyze your viability of your business, whether you will be able to generate funds, whether this is real or not, whether this is illusion, you are just doing a kind of thing. So Expert Advisory Committee will analyze your case very carefully. So once your application is passed through EAC, then it will go to the incubator. So as I told you, incubators are established across India to disburse the funds. So this is incubators actually a government assisted or non-government assisted incubators. So some of the incubators, government will fund the incubators. Some of the institutions, even private people, will have their own funding and get recognition from the government of India. So you will be going for the incubators. So these incubators actually, if you want to go through the incubators, you should have at least 2 to 3 years of your experience. That is 2 to 3 years of your existence of rolling out your business or product in the market. And after that, your startup journey will start. That is your kickstart of your startup journey. You will get the funding. So DPIIT recognizes startups actually. They can go for the startup funding. So this is actually incorporated less than 2 years ago. So when you can able to take the startup funding. So if your business is less than 2 years of experience, if you have already 2 years of experience, you cannot go for the startup funding. Then you can go for the banking, finance, and maybe you can go for the international market. You can go for other funding options only. But if your business, the experience that is your age of your business is less than 2 years, then you can approach the startups and you can get the startup incentives. A lot of startup incentives are there. I can share with you in the subsequent slides. So if not, the startup recognition actually they will give you in order to get the income tax benefit. So for any startup business, you will get the income tax benefit for consecutively 3 years. Out of 10 years of your business, continuously for a period of 10 years, you will be having a 100% income tax exemption. So you will need not pay any income tax for the first from 7 to 10 years. Whenever your income is higher, whenever you are generating more profit, you can choose those 3 years not to pay any tax, even a single rupee of tax also. You need not pay to the government of India. So this is the benefit the government of India is giving to the startups. So all these benefits will be applicable to the startups once you recognize by the DPIIT. So DPIIT recognition is the primary condition so that you have to get approval from the DPIIT. Once you get the DPIIT approval, you can enjoy all this benefit offered by the government of India. So move on to the next slide. So what is this Startup India seed funding scheme? So as we have discussed so far, this lot of funding is being infused by the government of India. If you see the volume of Startup India seed funding, it is really enormous. Government is infusing the funds to Startup India, a lot of startup companies. In order to get the Startup India seed funding, this is one of the seed funding schemes available for the startup business. So in order to get this one, you should be recognized by the DPIIT recognized startup, and you should have been at least 2 years of experience. You should have less than 2 years of experience with your startup journey, and you must have the business innovative idea to develop a product or services. It should not be any existing idea, or you should not copy from somebody else. Somebody else is doing a product or service. You should not just copy and pasting. So in order to tap this one, you have a trademark. You have trademarking, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. They will all look into whether the business is existing, your product is existing, already have taken the trademark license or not. So if already is there, they will not give you a license for this. So your business should be an innovative idea. It should not be like existing. It should be having a cutting edge. You should having a unique idea or business product or service you should be able to generate and develop into the market. And you should use the technology in its core. Technology is the core for any startup. Unless there is a technology, your business will not become as successful. That is why technology is incorporated in your startup business. So you should, without technology, it will be very difficult to compete in the market. So that is why even the startup India funding also is actually encouraging the technology into your business. So you must have at least received 10 lakhs of monetary support from state or central government in order to get this startup funding. So if you have received at least 10 lakhs rupees from state government or central government in the past, you can apply for the state funding scheme. And Indian shareholding, you should have at least 51%. So you can have business any components of your shareholder. Maybe you can have the shareholder from abroad, maybe non-Indians also, like from USA or from Australia or from Canada or from Gulf countries. Non-resident or you can foreign citizens also in your business portfolio. But at least minimum 51% of your shareholding pattern should be held by the Indian resident, that is, people who are residing in India. So then only your control will be in India itself. So that is the reason why at least 51% of your Indian shareholding should be held in Indian residents. So 20 lakh prototypes to 50 lakh like commercialization as actually grants and convertible debentures are already provided. So this is the grants and convertible debentures they provide through the seed funding schemes. You can choose either if you want a grant or you want a convertible debenture. They will provide you equity funding at the beginning, and at the end of the day, you can convert the equity fund into a convertible debenture. So you can choose the option either preference share capital, convertible debentures, or equity. What is the type of funding that you require? You can specify at the time of application itself for the India seed funding scheme. So actually, not only that, we also have the funding consultants and agents. A lot of funding consultants and agents actually recognized by Indian government. They are available actually. You can approach them also in order to get your funding for your startup business. And you have the cryptos, that is decentralized finance. This is one of the emerging market in today. Actually, cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies also you can tap for your funding requirements of your startup business. So far, actually, in the till recent past, like 2 to 3 years before, cryptocurrencies is not regulated by Indian government. It was not regulated, and but now cryptocurrency market is regulated by the government of India. And as we all know that if you trade in any cryptocurrency, if you buy and sell, there is a capital gain tax is applicable, and also it is actually taxable at the maximum marginal rate. Maximum marginal rate, that is 30%. 30% of your income will be taxed if you deal with the cryptocurrencies. So if you tap any cryptocurrencies for your business, now it is regulated by the Reserve Bank of India. There is separate agency called Digital Currency for Digital Currency, Central Bank for Digital Currency. CBDC is called like a Reserve Bank of India. That is for the monetary. That is for Indian the physical currency. We have a CBDC, that is Central Bank for Digital Currency, for the cryptocurrencies, also established by the Union government. So you can approach through CBDC norms. You can approach the cryptocurrency as your investment for your business also. And also fund of funds. This is one of the another scheme that is available. Up to 10,000 crore managed by SIDBI, that is the Small Scale Industries Development Bank. It is a government contribution through the SIDBI registered bodies only, and also through the VCs, venture capitalists also. You can obtain the funds from the fund of funds. This is one of the schemes constituted by the government of India. You can approach the fund of funds at the later point of time in order to get the funding for your startup business. So these are the another aspects of funding available for your startup business. Move on to the next slide, please. Shall we go to the next slide? Alternative investment fund. So to build a strong and inclusive ecosystem for innovation and entrepreneurship, you have alternative investment, that is the ATF investment fund. So over 95 plus registered ATFs are available today, and 750 plus awarded startups have been success stories behind this ATF. If you want to tap this one, if you want to know more about it, if you want to get the funding, this alternative investment funding, you can click into this link that I have given here, introconnect.startupindia.gov.in. If you go to that, you will see all the conditions and criteria that is mentioned, what are the documents that is required. You can get all the details in this link that I have given over here. So what are the futures they will do, this ATF will do? They will do the matchmaking. First of all, they will have your idea, and they will see who will be the right person for you to invest in your business. So they will bring together the startups and investors with the aim to facilitate the funding requirements of your budding entrepreneurs. Once they do the matchmaking, they will also provide the resources. One of the largest online platform for the entrepreneurship in India is that allows the startups to create a network and participate in the programs conducted by the investors. And tech powered, another feature of this ATF is actually it is an AI and data driven matching algorithms to enable investors and corporates to instantly connect with the Indian startups. So using the AI today is actually AI playing a major role, artificial intelligence playing a major role, in fact replacing the human beings. They will be able to tap the funding requirements. They have an AI based app that has been developed. As soon as you launch your area of specialization idea, and they will be able to immediately tell these are all the list of people, these are all the listing funds that is available for you. You can tap these people and you can get funding easily from them. So these are all the actually features that we see in the ATF, alternative investment funds. Moving on to the next slide, please. So you see, as I told you, what are the types of startup funding and the grants that is available for you when you will be using? First of all, you can have the small business loans. You can go for the small business loan to shore up your cash flow. You can apply from up to 1 crore rupees, 10 lakhs to 50 lakhs to 1 crore rupees. You can go for small business loans. In order to have your business loans, you can get a business loan. You can have the business plan for your idea, business plan for your business. So once you write up your business plan, you can apply for the business loan. Once your project is awarded, they will provide you business loan even up to 1 crore of rupees. Also, you can get the business loan from the commercial banks and even financial non-banking financial institutions. A lot of private finances also today, like Tata Capital and like Birla Capital, and so many people now they are providing the private equity finances, giving the loans and the grants to the startup businesses. You can get a business loan. Of course, your rate of interest is little higher for the business loans. So if you are able to generate the funds to pay the interest rate, so it is easy for you to generate the funds. A revenue-based financing also it is possible. So in your early stage of business, based on your revenue, cash flow statements, your debtors, you have the debtors. You can have the using your debtors, using your trade receivables, you can get the financing from your bank. It is like a pledging your debtors, like a pledging your asset. You can also pledge your debtors balance. Debtors balance you can give to the bank, and you can get the funding from your banking company. Also, your funding rounds. So, what are the rounds? Funding rounds. You can go for first round, second round, third round of your funding. First round of your funding will be a small level. Second round of funding will be venture capital is a bigger level. Third round of funding may be your IPOs and larger amount of requirement. And then venture capital and when to start a business is actually a promising. Venture capitalists actually today they are willing to support, take a lot of risk along with you. So if you go for the venture capital, they will provide a large amount of money along with also they will also share your risk of being. So if you see most of the venture capital in practice, actually out of 10 businesses, minimum 6 to 7 businesses will fail. So venture capitalist investments will fail minimum 6 to 7, but 3 to 4 businesses only will flourish. 3 to 4 businesses only will succeed. That is why their requirement will be higher. So their expectation is very higher. Maybe even 100%, more than 100% also they will expect their returns to come. Their return on investment will be more than 100% also sometime because their rate of failure is higher than their rate of success. That is why the venture capitalists will be able to take the lot of risk along with you. Angel investors, as we have already seen, they will come along with you in the initial stage. When the business is small, you can get the angel investment. Crowdfunding, as I told you, crowdfunding is available now even for the financing of your business also, like equity-based crowdfunding, debt-based crowdfunding, donation crowdfunding. Even if your business is even if you're operating non-business like your NBFCs, like your charitable activity, you can get the donation from the crowdfunding for doing any charity or any kind of non-profit making companies. They can approach this crowdfunding stage also. And then venture debt also is available now. You can go for the venture capital debt. Venture capital generally will come along with the equity based only, but now they are providing the debt funding also through the venture capitalists. And then incubators and accelerator fund is available for the early stage development. You can apply your business or idea. You can get along with that. You can get recognition. You can get listing from the incubators, and then you'll be able to get the funding from the incubator or accelerator fund. Private equity. Of course, you can go to the private equity financiers for the large amount of money or the later stage of point is a business, and you can get your funding. And you have bank loans. Bank loan maybe what type of loan that you need: short-term loan, medium-term loan, long-term loan. These are the three types of loans are available in the banking system, and you can, based on your requirement, you can approach the banking loan. So for the banking loan, for each and every bank, they will have their valuer. They may have the valuer along with the bank, recognized by the valuer. So valuer will be like employed in order to value your business, and they will see the viability of your product, and they will provide the funding for your business based on the documentation that you provide, and then business plan and all the detailed revenue and expenditure cash flow statement of your business that you provide. Based on that, they will give you the banking loan, either it's short term, medium term, or long term funding that you require for your business. Move on to the next slide, please. So, what are the RBI guidelines? What is the Reserve Bank of India tells about the your funding from abroad? So, FDI. So, what is the rules and requirements for the Reserve Bank of India for getting your foreign investment? So today it is as easy as possible for you to get the investment from like foreign national stock exchanges and people from investors, from angel investors and venture capitalists from abroad. So what are the conditions? What are the rules and regulations set by the Reserve Bank of India? So in order to get the funding, RBI is actually given two routes. One is automatic route and one is approval route. So automatic route, you no need to get any approval from the Reserve Bank of India or Government of India. You can directly get any funding from the abroad. So these are the automatic routes. So various sectors or various industries which they have given a list of industries for which you can get the funding automatically, like health sector. Example, one of the examples is the health sector. If you want to establish any startup business for the health sector or any technology based startup for you, you need not get any approval from the Reserve Bank of India. You can directly get the money from the foreign investor. And we have approval route. Some of the products like FMCG and some of the like restricted sectors, you have the approval route. You have to get approval, prior approval from the Reserve Bank of India. And once you get the approval, and you can get the funding from the national, that is international players, that is international funding agencies. You can get the funding from them. And you have the prohibited sectors for FDI, foreign direct investment. You cannot have the FDI for all these following sectors like agriculture, manufacturing of tobacco, cigars, and gambling, betting, lottery, and for not open for the private sectors is atomic energy, hit fund and nidhi funding companies, real estate business. These are all the list of businesses for which you cannot get the FDI, that is foreign direct investment. So you cannot, once you get the foreign direct investment, you cannot use for these sectors. So except this sector, you can get the funding for your startup businesses. So if you want to get any funding for FDI for the following agriculture, manufacturing of tomatoes, you will not be able to get. So these are the three routes of RBI regulations are there for you to get funding from abroad. Automatic route, approval route, and prohibited sectors for which you cannot get FDI for your business. Next slide. Yeah. Before funding and after funding. So what you will be doing before funding and after funding? What are your duties that you have to do? Before funding, actually, what you have to do, you have to clean up the pending statutory compliances. So if you want to get the funding, they will look at your business. They will look at your record. So if there is any litigation, if there is any income tax pending, if there is any problem with your GST, if you are not complying any your local rules and regulations and statutory that is compliances that you have to comply with regard to income tax, ROC, if there is any problem for you, then you will not be able to get the funding. Either it may be venture capitalist or it may be or it may be angel investor. Maybe you can ask, I am a startup business. How do I have the past record? They may also have ask your individual income tax return. Whether are you filing regularly your individual income tax return? What is your net worth? How much your income that you are paying? What is your debt? Whether you have the liability? Whether you have taken any loan from the government? Whether you have any dispute? Is there any contradicting act, that is a court of law, that is any court of law has funding, you have to clean, you have to comply rules and regulations prescribed by the nation, that is the land of India. And after that, you have to do the valuation. You may have the independent valuer, you may engage a valuer to value your business. Previous slide, please. You can go back to the previous slide. Yeah, you have to do the valuation. As I told you, valuation, we have the different types of valuation. You can use the discounted cash flow method. You can use various models in which to value your business. So once you value your business, you can tell this is the valuation of my business. This is suppose $5 billion. Previous slide, please. Go back to the previous slide. Yeah. So once you have the valuation, so suppose you say facing some problem in previous slide. Okay, actually we haven't seen the previous slide. Maybe I will discuss this current slide. What is the requirements? So what are the requirements that we have to do? We have to do the, yeah, fine. Thank you. So after the valuation, you will do the negotiation with the investor. Once you have the value, suppose your valuation is comes to the $5 billion or $2 billion, you can start negotiating with your investors. You can ask them. Or also you have to do the due diligence. Before any funding, you will be doing the due diligence either by the person who is seeking for the funding or by the person who is investing the funding. They will do the due diligence. So there will be different due diligence will be available, like financial due diligence, operational due diligence, legal due diligence, environmental due diligence. So many due diligence will be there. So they have to conduct the due diligence report. And once you provide the due diligence report, based on that, you will be able to get the funding for your business. After funding, what you have to do? After funding, again, you will be valuing your business. Once you get the funding, then you'll be able to start the business at the larger stage. Your valuation will change again. So your share value, your business value, the net worth of your business on the assets that you have will increase significantly. So after that, you'll be doing the valuation again after the funding. And after that, you will be having the instrument selection. So what is the instrument that I'm going to select? Maybe you can choose the you can choose the equity, or you can choose the debt funding, or you can choose the convertible preference shares, convertible shares into debentures. And what are the instrument that you have to need? You have to select at this time. And after that, you will be having the agreement drafting. You will draft the agreement between the funding people and then yourself, and then you have to sign on that. And maybe you can execute the agreement. It's not only important to just draft an agreement signed by both the people, but this agreement should be executed. It should be approved, or it should be registered with the local register office. You have to go and register with your local register office in order to have the significance, in order to have the binding effect on your agreement that you have drafted. And finally, you should have the treasury management. Once you receive the funding, you should have managed the funds wisely. Whether immediately your funding is started, whether you are to going to invest, whether surplus money. So what are you doing with the surplus money? You should invest into the fixed deposit. You should either invest into the fixed deposit, or you should make the the funding grow. You should make the funding to produce the result for you. So these are all the treasury management that you have to do. So this is the funding before and option after the funding that you will be requiring the criteria. We will move to the next slide. So what are all the requirements that is required? Executive summary. For any funding, what you have to do, you have to prepare the executive summary. Who are all your investors? Who are all your key managerial persons? Who is your promoter? And what is your the profile? What is your experience? What is your capability? What is your skill set? And you have to prepare the executive summary in such a way that It will convince the convinced investor to produce the investment for you. And also, you should have a business strategy. What is your strategy that you are adopting? Okay, whether it is a long-term strategy, short-term strategy, whether it is a pricing strategy, what is your pricing of your product, whether you are starting your pricing of your product with a low level or the highest level. The first rolling of your product itself, you are going to price your product or service the maximum price that is available in the market. So, what is your strategy that you are adopting? Pricing strategy, like product strategy, marketing strategy, and all the strategy you have to involve it. And then you have to prepare the budget. Without budget, you cannot proceed with any funding. So you should prepare a budget for your products. How much money that is required for my capital expenditure? How much money is required for my current assets? How much money is required for my operational expenses? So you should provide a budget clearly for minimum of 3 to 5 years or 7 years. You should provide an estimation or budget so that the budgets will speak to the funding providers. And once you have the budget, you should have the business plan and financial projections. You should have, and then, as I told you, pitch deck. That is the USP. That is unique selling, the policy, unique selling price. You should have your pitch deck prepared. And finally, you should have the product demo. You should do the product demonstration. You should do the viability check of your product or service, and then only you can go for the funding. Next slide. So, what should investors look for? So these are all the looking factors for the investors to look into the startup companies. First of all, they will look at your business plan. So what is your business plan? Whether you are going to generate the profit within a minimum of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. So what is the business plan that you have prepared? In how many years you should be able to see the profit? How many years that you are going to invest in? What is your operating cycle? What is the operating cycle? In within how many months you'll be able to generate funds from the time of acquiring the raw material, from the time of getting the data realized in your bank? How much time? What is the operating cycle? All these things will be detailed evaluated in the business plan. And once it is done, valuation reports, cost-based valuation report, as I told you, DCF-based valuation report, and based on the different methods, they will adopt the valuation reports and they will check your valuation report. If they are convinced with the valuation report, they will proceed with it. If not, they will have their own valuers recognized by the valuation industry. That is valuation Institute of Valuation separately is considered by the Government of India now. So Institute of Valuer Institute is separately now operating in India. Like RBI, there is a separate institute available. So Institute of Valuer, they have recognized the valuers, like for your instrument valuation. Maybe they will value your debenture, maybe they will value your stock, maybe they will value your fixed assets. So based on the valuers report, they will check the viability, how much funding they can offer for you. They will also do the due diligence, legal due diligence, operation due diligence, technical due diligence, environmental due diligence. They will see if there is any problem persisting, if there is any issue is available. Suppose if you are doing any like commercial production, that is manufacturing activity, in case if there is in a particular area, there is a restriction, the environmental, there is a prohibited law, that is act is passed by the court of law. So those things, it will be a hindrance for you. It will be an obstacle for you to get the funding. So because of this due diligence, you'll all come to a picture. They will know that this is clean business and will be able to invest into the business and will be able to generate the funds at the earliest. And finally, we will look at the return of investment. What is ROI? My ROI is minimum 15%, 20%, 25% if it is in the case of the equity. If it is in the rate of that is debenture, so ranging from 10% to 12% in the market. Right? Because if you deposit in the fixed deposit today, it is around 7% for senior citizens. If you go for any like debentures, maybe it will fetch you from 10% to 12% in the market. So they will look into what's my ROI, what is the rate of interest that I'm going to get from this business. They will see into that, and what is my stake of percentage. So if they are going to invest into the equity, they will ask how much stake, how much percentage of my shareholding, like suppose 10% or 20%, 25%. So how much share? Generally, if you see the market, initially for the angel investors, they can sell off their shares up to 10%. So if you are going to have 100% of shares, maybe at the time of your equity funding, you have to sell off minimum of 10%. So they will look at least, am I getting 10% of share in the company? So if that is the case, they will come as a equity. They will come as a angel investor. So after that, when you go for the bigger funding for the venture capitalists, almost they will at least look for a 25% of stakeholding. So am I getting at least 25% of the stake in the existing business? So if that is the case, I will invest into the venture funding. So they will look into the what is the percentage of stake, what is the percentage of shareholding, what is the percentage of ownership that I'm going to get out of my investment in this business or product service. So you have to determine what is the percentage that you are going to shell off to the investors. And finally, management participation. As I told you, equity, they will have participated in the management decision making, and they will come along with you in operational day-to-day business operations. Whereas in the case of debentures and grants, they will not come into your management participation. So these are all the criteria the investors will look into any funding, any startups for the funding their business. Move on to the next slide. Next slide, please. This is what do the investors look like? Again, this is one of the things. Just I'll highlight only important points. What is the objective and problem solving? What is your real objective that you are going to achieve in the market? Are you really solving any problem in the market? Is there any problem in the existing? Suppose if you are implementing a new transport system or new health system, so what is the problem that this market is facing? Are you really providing a solution for solving the problem? So is it a really viable and genuine business strategy that you have? They will look into that. And also they will have the scalability and sustainability. Whether your product is scalable and sustainable for at least for a period of 10 years or 15 years, am I getting stable growth, stable return of my investment? They will look into that. And also they will see the sales and marketing. Do you have the efficient team for your sales and marketing? Maybe you have the wonderful team of like the promoters to roll out your business. Maybe you have a wonderful idea, but are you really able to take the product or service to the market? Whether do you have sufficient people to do the sales and marketing? So this is very, very important. And management and team, they will see the credibility of the management and the team. Market landscape, how much market cap that you are going to take, at least 50% or 10% or 25% market cap are you going to get the market size of your business? Who are all your customers and suppliers? The credibility, whether they are long-standing the business, whether they are providing quality product, quality raw material to you, whether who are your suppliers for your raw material. They will all look into all these things. And then who are your competitive analysis? They will check your competitors. Who are your competitors? Are they corporate companies or they are individuals? Whether you'll be able to compete with them, whether you'll be able to succeed in your market. So all these things will be looked into. And what are all the financial assessments? So how your financial things will be assessed there. Money that they have invested or not. So these are all the areas they will look into before investing any before investing any startup business or the industry. Move on to the next slide. So this is the startup. It is actually incorporated or after, as I told you, startup business. What are the income tax exemptions? Exemptions for the startup businesses. So in order to get the tax exemption for the startup businesses, you should have incorporated your business on or after 1st April 2016, but before 31st March 2024. So every budget, union budget, if you see, 1 year after the other, they will keep on extending this year of getting the startup exemption from the income tax department, from the income tax. So your startup should be incorporated on or after 1st April 2016, but before 31st of March 2024. And your turnover limit should be within 100 crores. So if your turnover, that is your sales, if your sales is up to 100 crores, you can get the startup recognition. You can get the income tax benefit. If your turnover is crossing 100 crores, you will not be able to get this exemption from the income tax department. That is in the preceding financial year, your turnover should be less than 100 crores. And if it crosses 100 crores, you will lose this benefit of startup exemption. Working towards innovation and development of new product or processes driven by the technology. So this is one of the important factors that will be considered for your income tax benefit. and it is not found by splitting up or reconstruction of existing business. Supposing if I am having partnership business, in order to get the income tax benefit, I have to reconstruct my business from startup to from partnership to private limited company, from private limited company to some other form of LLP, maybe limited liability partnership. So if you are going to just split up your existing business, you will not be able to get this income tax benefit. It should be a newly brand new business that you are going to implement, that you are going to incorporate into the so you should apply for DIT recognition. So once you apply for the DIT recognition, once you get approval from the DIT, you will get the 3 years of income tax exemption out of 10 years under Section 80 IAC. This is the income tax section newly they have rolled out. Under Section 80 IAC, you will get the 3 years of continuous income tax exemption out of 10 years. Capital gain on transfer of residential property under Section 54G. This is actually exempted under Section 54GB. If there is any transfer of asset with regard to the your startup business, you will be exempted from the capital gain tax under Section 54GB. An exemption from income that is investment above fair market value under Section 56(2), that is income from other sources. Supposing your share value is 10 rupees at the time of incorporation. Now, at the time of business valuation, your share value is 1000 rupees. So 990 rupees overvalued your stock. Your stock is overvalued for 990 rupees. It's actually a real value of my stock. So your share value is only 10 rupees, but your valued business is now 1000 rupees per share. So the difference of 990 rupees is actually taxable under the income tax act. Those days, actually, it is taxable under the income tax act. You are the new valued share value is taxable. In order to get the exemption, that is the angel investment, that is the angel tax. This is called an angel tax exemption. Angel tax exemption under Section 56(2) of the Income Tax Act is eligible for the startup business those who are recognized under DITT recognition. And carry forward a system of losses is available under Section 79 of the Income Tax Act. Deferment of tax liability. Income Tax Act is also available for the startup businesses. These are all the actually startup tax exemptions are available for the startup businesses. Next slide. This is the example I told you. This is the actually recognition. This is the certificate they will give you. Certificate for recognition by Startup India. They will have a unique certificate number on the left hand side, the corner, top corner of the left. You will see the certificate number. It will be given. It will be a unique number for all the certificates, and they will mention your name. What is the name? This is the certificate certified by so and so company, incorporated as a private limited company or LLP or a public limited company. So what is the concept of business? They will mention over here, and on which date they have started the business. So they will put the date of incorporation also, and also on the bottom, if you see date of issue and the validity up to. So the date of issue or what date they will issue the certificate, and this is valid up to which year. So generally they will give up to 2022 they have issued up to 2030. So they have given 8 years. Up to 8 years, they have given this exemption certificate. So in this period, you will get a lot of exemption from the startup business income tax department and also government of India. Lot of schemes, government schemes and grants that you will be able to get for all these things. Okay, I think we have a few more minutes, and maybe with this, I think maybe we will conclude with formal presentation. I wish you very, dear students, very happy learning, and I wish you all to become a successful entrepreneurs. If you have any idea or business idea that you are looking for any startup business, I wish you very success in the days to come. I wish you very all the best for a happy learning, and I hope that you will become an entrepreneur in the days to come. And I thank you for this wonderful opportunity that you given to me. I thank you for the organizing committee. Thank you for Madam Abhirami for giving me this opportunity for sharing my expertise knowledge on this venture capitalist and angel investment. And the floor is open now. In case if you have any questions, if you have any clarifications or doubts, you can ask me now.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
So, is there any restrictions for angel investors to invest in single startups, sir?
No, nothing like that. If you have a viable product or if you have a viable idea for you, you can have it even a single startup also. You can have a like a promoter or you can an entrepreneur. You may be an entrepreneur. There is no restriction for you to get any funding.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. If no other question, I hand over the session to the organizers. Organizers, please take over the session.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your valuable information to us. Now, I would like to invite Ms. Tulasi, second B Commander, to give the vote of thanks.
Vote of thanks. Good afternoon, one and all present here. It's with immense pleasures and gratitude that I stand before you today. On behalf of Jeppiaar College Arts and Science, I extend my heartfelt appreciation to each and every one of you who has made this event resounding success. First and foremost, I could like to express our sincere gratitude to our beloved guest, Mr. Velan Silas, for gracing us with their presence and sharing their invaluable insights with us. Your experience and wisdom have truly enriched our understanding and will have lasting impact. A big round of applause is in order for the participants who are all interested to participate this event. Your activity involved have added deep and meaning to our gathering, and we are grateful for your contribution. Lastly, I want to express my appreciation to each and every person who took the time out of their busy schedule to be with us today. Your presence has filled the atmosphere and made this event truly special. Thank you all for being a part of this wonderful journey. Here to many more success in enriching experience in the future. Thank you all.
Thank you, students. We thank and appreciate your participation and cooperation throughout the session. Thank you.
I wish you all the very best. Thank you. I will be logging off.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.